Welcome back to part 3 of how to grow garlic. Today it's all about harvesting, curing, and storing your garlic. So it's been about a month since we harvested our scapes. Our garlic is sort of starting to turn yellow at the tops. All the leaves are turning yellow, so that means it's time to harvest. So we are in Massachusetts, New England, USA, and for us we harvest our garlic sort of mid to late July. It is actually July 29th right now, and today I'm going to pull this out of the ground. Basically, you just go over there and yank them out, stack them up, and then we're going to bring them into the hoop house to cure them. All right, easy as that. This garlic's actually going to just sit out tonight and breathe the night air. And I will be back first thing in the morning to bring it into the hoop house to show you how I cure it for about a month, and then we'll get into long-term storage. All right, it's the next day. These were pulled out of the ground last night, and I like to leave them out overnight because it dries off the dirt, and then you just kind of give these a good shake, and the dirt falls off, so they're easier to clean up. You shouldn't leave garlic sitting out in the sun for very long because it will just kind of dry out really, really fast. So, these are going into the racks, and then they're going to go get stored so they can cure. Alright, so this is Garlic Harvest 2017. We planted this garlic in November of 2016. It spent the winter in the ground. In the spring it popped up. In the end of June we pulled off the garlic scapes. We made the pesto. It is now the end of July, and we just pulled these out of the ground last night. So these are going to sit here in the hoop house under cover for about 2 weeks to cure. Sometimes you need to wait a little longer for curing. I generally 2, 3, 4 weeks or so is about what this garlic needs. When you pull your garlic out of the ground, the bulbs are very wet and they're very tight and they're hard to work with, so you can cook with this, but it's kind of hard to cook with it. It's hard to get it apart. Plus the stems are very wet and green. So what you need to do is sort of leave this in an environment that is airy, lots of airflow, but out of direct sun. We're in the sun right now, but I'm about to cover these up with cloth. You could put these in a barn, in a garage, a basement, but you want to have airflow. Some people tie these up and hang them in the rafters. They'll dry much faster that way. You can also weave them and braid them and stuff if you want to be decorative, but I've got so much that I don't deal with that. I've always just put them in the racks. These racks are vented, the table is vented, and there's a lot of airflow coming through the hoop house. As long as they're not in the direct sun and they have air to sort of gently dry out, that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to be back here in a couple of weeks, and we're going to cut off the stems, we're going to cut off the roots, we're going to just clean these up, and they're going to look nice and beautiful, and we'll have garlic for cooking for the winter, and also garlic for seeding for next year's garlic. All right, welcome back. It is a rainy day in the hoop house today, and we are going to process garlic. The garlic has been in the hoop house under cover for about 3 weeks since I pulled it out of the ground. And as you can see, the tops of the garlic have gotten nice and dry, and that means our garlic is pretty much cured and ready to go. We harvest, about 1,000 heads of garlic or so every year, and I've gotten pretty fast at doing this. Now, when I process garlic, I have 3 containers. I have a container for roots, a container for the bulbs, and a container for stems over here. You're going to take your clippers, nice sharp clippers. I reach into my supply of garlic, I pull out by the roots. Grab the roots, cut the stem, leave about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, cut the roots, the bulb drops into the bowl, and the roots drop in there. So as long as you grab your roots, cut, cut. I don't bother with really doing a thorough cleaning of these because they're going to sit in a sort of cool, dry location, and they're going to continue curing some. These aren't completely ready. This outer skin needs to be really papery, and it's not quite there yet. It's still a little bit rubbery, but it's good enough for processing. So I'm just doing 2 moves here. I'm never dropping my clippers. I'm only touching one part of this. I can do this almost without looking. I'm going to just clip. Okay, so that was the garlic harvest, process, and curing. Let's talk a little bit about storage. So half of this garlic is going to be eaten, and about half of it will be planted to become next year's garlic. Now, it is now late August, and I'll be planting this garlic in probably late October or mid-November, somewhere around that time. That all is explained in Garlic Video Part 1. Now, for the next couple of months, this garlic is still going to cure. It's not quite ready for planting or anything. The skin is still a little bit leathery. It's not quite completely dry and flaky like you'd see in supermarket garlic. So this does have a little more time. For the garlic that I'm going to be storing for long-term storage, that I'm going to be eating and cooking with, I like to keep the garlic in an open container, a bin somewhat like this that has ventilated sides. And I keep this in a cool room, the coolest room in the house. We have sort of a laundry room that's kind of unheated. It's in the back of the house, and it never really gets warm. That's a good spot. Maybe a semi-warm garage, a basement that doesn't freeze, a mud room, something like that would be great to store garlic. You want to keep it dark. That's the other thing. So cover it up. You can put it in a brown paper bag, keep it in a cool place. As long as there's no light, and it stays cool, this is not going to sprout. If you put this in a kitchen, in a warm room, with lots of overhead light, in like a couple of weeks, you're going to see shoots coming out of here because it's going to reach for the light. So, ventilation, cool temperature, not completely dry. You don't want to have it in a bone-dry environment. It doesn't have to be a moist environment, but you don't want to keep this next to a heater or a wood stove or something like that, or it's just going to be bad in about a month. Other than that, that's the end of video number 3. I labeled these videos 1, 2, and 3 because there are 3 sort of periods that you work with garlic over the course of a year. But garlic doesn't really begin or end. It's kind of always happening. So this is the end of video number 3, which is kind of the final stage of garlic when you can actually eat your garlic. If you want to learn how to plant your garlic and then start over again, go on to video number 1, and that's how to sort of prep and plant your garlic. And then it's just, again, another cycle. It keeps going on and on. It's really not a hard thing to grow. Like I said in the last video, if you have dirt and you like garlic, you should give this a try because it's pretty simple, and you will have more garlic than you can handle. Alright, so that's the garlic series. I hope you guys learned something. If you did, please let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments. And of course, that's also where you would put comments down in the comments. That's about all, I guess, on garlic. So, happy garlic!